Bookstore connecting play and...
Here's an idea. Try our tasty new Barbecue XL burger. Right now, it's just 99 cents.
When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
The world's deadliest earthquakes, plus the 800-pound man on ET.
Death at the office again. Another day brings another deadly shooting among workers, this time by a camouflaged killer in Seattle. An in-depth report tonight on workplace violence and why it's so difficult to prevent. New information about the final moments of Egypt Air Flight 990 suggests at least one startling possible cause. And grow new hair without drugs or old-fashioned plugs. Tonight on the CBS Health Watch.
This is the CBS Evening News. With Dan Rather reporting from CBS News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. For the second day in a row in a major American city, business as usual was shattered by the sound of gunshots and the deadly impact of murder in a workplace. Yesterday it was Honolulu. Today, Seattle, where a man walked into an office and opened fire with a handgun. 4 people were shot. The gunman fled, setting off a massive manhunt. CBS's Jerry Bowen picks up the story.
It was mid-morning when the lone gunman entered the shipyard office building on Lake Union north of downtown Seattle, and witnesses say calmly opened fire on his victims, killing one man instantly, wounding 3 others.
Apparently he just walked into the back of an office and started shooting. At this time, we don't believe he even said anything. He just started shooting.
Initially, nearby shipyard workers thought it was a joke and then discovered the horrible reality. This man made the 911 call.
It's too bizarre. Sick to my stomach to think that somebody could actually do that, just point a gun and pull it.
The gunman, in his 30s and unshaven, was wearing a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a dark overcoat over camouflage clothes. Witnesses saw him run from the shooting scene down the street toward Gasworks Park on the shore of Lake Union. A search turned up nothing there and quickly expanded north into Seattle's Wallingford and Fremont neighborhoods. Frightened residents shouting to police the gunman had just run by.
And he's running back and forth.
This way?
Behind that building, and then he's jumping
the last place you saw him was back here?
Yeah.
Hey guys, that saw him over here.
As police went house to house, slowly, carefully looking for the man with the handgun, area schools were either evacuated or locked down to keep him out and children safely in.
They're totally oblivious to it. They're walking down the hallways going to lunch.
But shipyard area residents were stunned and visibly shaken, and the news got worse as the search and day wore on. There was a second death.
Well, he had been shot 3 times in the chest and abdomen, but unfortunately doctors weren't able to save him. His wounds were just too devastating.
Police say the weapon that was used was a 9mm semi-automatic. They're continuing their search in the neighborhoods north of Lake Union, asking residents to stay calm and report anything unusual. Police still don't know who the man is or what his motive was. Dan?
Jerry Bowen, thanks. In Honolulu, a repairman is under arrest, but the motive is still a mystery for yesterday's deadly shooting spree at Xerox offices. The violence came out of the blue in the warm and relaxed climate of Hawaii. CBS News correspondent Bill Whitaker reports what's been learned about the alleged gunman.
40-year-old Byron Uesugi will be formally charged within 24 hours. Honolulu police have no doubt he is the man who killed the 7 Xerox employees. Hawaii was jolted by the horror that crackled across ambulance radios Tuesday morning.
Okay, anybody hurt? Yeah. Some of the guys said some guys are down. They did.
Police believe Uesugi entered his Xerox office, climbed to the 2nd floor, and methodically gunned down 5 men, members of his technical team meeting in a conference room. He then allegedly killed 2 more men down the hall. Police know of no motive. Uesugi and one of the victims both repaired copiers at Catherine Barago's workplace.
As for Byron, he'd occasionally say hello, but he was a very quiet person.
The CEO of Xerox, who flew to Honolulu today, denied Uesugi's job was in jeopardy.
He was under no threat of losing his job. There was no thought of it.
The papers and his neighbors call Uesugi quiet, nice. He raised fish. He also collected guns. He joined the rifle club in high school and had 17 registered guns.
But in this state with the nation's strictest gun control laws, authorities want to know how he came to possess at least 1 unregistered gun and an illegal ammunition clip.
It's the strictest in the nation, but perhaps adjustments need to be made.
Not only is it beautiful here, it's safe. There were only 17 murders in Honolulu last year.
It's supposed to be like the most peaceful place, you know, no violence, and now this happens, you know, only in mainland, you know, happening.
Now it seems there's no escape. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Honolulu.
For context and perspective beyond the headlines, we give you an in-depth look now at two subjects related to violence in the workplace. First, CBS's Jim Stewart has been digging up the facts on who is likely to commit workplace violence and why it's so hard to prevent.
In Atlanta this summer, it was a day trader upset over big stock losses. In Seattle, they don't know for sure, but think it's another case of rage in the workplace. While in Honolulu, co-workers still can't figure it out. The suspect there, they say, was one of the nicest guys in the office. If there's one common thread in workplace violence in the U.S., experts say, it's that there's really no discernible pattern at all. About 100 Americans are murdered by co-workers or customers every year, but when government and safety experts recently tried to profile the average workplace killer, they came up with very little. They did find that these kinds of attacks are 3 to 4 times more likely to occur in a government or quasi-governmental organization as opposed to a private firm. That middle-aged white men are the most likely suspects as well as the most likely victims, and that companies going through a period of downsizing are most susceptible. And if you've noticed that these shootings come in clusters like this incident in Alabama only days after the Atlanta rampage, you're not alone. Copycat slayings in the workplace are commonplace, police say. Seeing or reading of rage elsewhere may tend to prompt violence in someone already contemplating it, say experts. And finally, there appears to be no pattern either on how these things end. In 1/3 of the most recent workplace shootings, the suspects ended it by killing themselves. In another third, they surrendered, while the others died while resisting arrest. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
We've also been digging into whatever happened to even modest gun control measures in the U.S. Congress. Apparently not much. CBS's Diana Olick has that part of the story. Diana?
Dan, last spring, the Senate passed a juvenile justice bill that included gun control, but the House took guns out of its bill. Now, months later, lawmakers still have no final compromise bill, and leaders are telling CBS News gun control is essentially dead.
The pro-gun people, the Second Amendment people, as they call themselves, don't want to yield an inch, and the anti-gun people want everything they want and don't want to yield an inch too.
The sticking point is gun shows. What is the definition, and how long should the waiting period be for background checks at gun shows?
We can't be for a bill that's filled with loopholes, other loopholes, and is so watered down that all these guns are now going to be sold through gun shows.
There have been 4 mass shootings since the final bill went into conference. 1 at a Los Angeles daycare center, 1 at a church in Texas, and then 2 in 2 days in Hawaii and Seattle. But Democrats say they're still waiting for a compromise, while Republicans claim Democrats are too busy playing politics to listen.
They charge the Democrats don't want gun control because it's a good issue and they want to use it for campaign 2000.
And that's just a cover-up, I'm afraid, for their failure to get the bill done.
In the year of Columbine and Conyers, Georgia, is there a very strong possibility that this Congress will not pass any new gun legislation?
Well, if we can't agree, the perfect is the enemy of the good, as the old saying goes, and that's true. If they're going to hold out for a perfect bill, we won't have one.
And with only a week or so left in the legislative session, that may just be the case. Dan?
Diana Olick on Capitol Hill. Still to come on the CBS Evening News. Some startling new possible causes considered for the crash of Egypt Air 990. A verdict in the murder of a gay college student in Wyoming. And the new CBS Health Watch. Tonight, news about growing new hair from a donor.
6 months ago, I wouldn't have considered doing this.
Introducing PharmaSure Joint Formula with ingredients that help rebuild existing cartilage.
We made it.
PharmaSure, inspired by life, created by science. Only at GNC, Rite Aid, and drugstore.com.
A lot of people have allergies. I have multi-symptom nasal allergies. It's the sneezing, itchy, runny nose, the nasal congestion. It's all of it. I told my doctor, I've had it. I want an allergy medicine made for my kind of allergies. He prescribed multi-symptom Flonase.
Flonase nasal spray once a day relieves all nasal allergy symptoms all day and night.
All it takes is Flonase.
The #1 prescribed nasal allergy spray. Even kids as young as 4 can use Flonase. For best results, use daily. If side effects occur, they are generally mild and may include headache, nosebleed, or sore throat. Call to learn more. Ask your doctor about multi-symptom Flonase.
When you get it all it takes is Flonase.
All right, kid. Here we go. 10-9. What do you got? What do you got? Yeah. All right, come on, come on.
What would you do if someone you loved had a heart attack?
Yeah.
Did you know it's now been proven that the same Bayer aspirin you have in your bag for muscle aches may actually help stop you from dying if you take it during a heart attack?
Downtown. Lucky shot.
Can your pain reliever do that? Talk to your doctor now.
Next time I'll go easier on you.
Bayer, powerful pain relief and so much more.
There are new indications that Egypt Air 990's death plunge into the sea possibly broke the speed of sound and started to break up the plane before impact. As to why it happened, the best hope for answers remains locked inside the jet's black boxes, and some of the new potential answers being talked about are shockers. CBS's Bob Orr has the latest on the crash investigation.
Off the coast of Nantucket, gale force winds whipped the Atlantic into a frenzy, suspending the search for bodies and wreckage. Recovery ships spent the day at port, tracking the high seas.
The blue is 9 foot, the green is 12-foot seas, the yellow's 15 and above.
Today, the Coast Guard released the first detailed pictures of crash debris found floating in the Atlantic. A section of the fuselage, complete with a window, a tire, a deflated evacuation slide, and part of what appears to be the tail from Egypt Air 990. The badly broken up wreckage points to a violent impact that likely shattered the jetliner into tens of thousands of pieces. Preliminary radar data shows the plane was diving at a tremendous speed, around 700 miles an hour. So fast, it's possible the jet broke the sound barrier. Sources say it's also likely the plane began breaking apart before slamming into the sea. Even more importantly, radar data shows the plane falling from 33,000 feet to below 17,000 feet, virtually in a straight line with no wild turns or rolls. In the final 37 seconds to impact, the jetliner did nose to the right and crashed in a descending turn. All of that just adds to the mystery. Aviation sources say it's hard to come up with an airplane failure scenario that fits the facts. The original descent of the plane looks to be controlled, as if the pilots deliberately began the dive. At this point, investigators can't rule that out. But why might that happen? Well, the pilots may have started descending in response to another problem like smoke or fire, only to perhaps ultimately lose control of the airplane. But remember, there were no distress calls. So that means investigators have to consider all scenarios, even the most extreme ones. Perhaps the chance that a terrorist forced down the plane, or even the unthinkable possibility that the pilots themselves took the airliner down. Dan?
Bob Orr in Newport, Rhode Island. An editor's note: while there is much speculation about possible causes of the crash and investigators have to follow all leads, no one knows for sure yet, and the investigation is just beginning. In Wyoming today, a mixed verdict for a 22-year-old man charged with the murder of gay college student Matthew Shepard. A jury acquitted the accused of first-degree murder, but found him guilty on other charges that could still bring the death penalty. CBS's Cynthia Bowers reports.
Aaron McKinney whispered "I love you" to his family as he entered a Wyoming courtroom today. He then stood motionless as the verdict was read moments later. Guilty of kidnapping, guilty of aggravated robbery, and guilty of felony murder in the fatal beating last year of gay college student Matthew Shepard. The facts were not in dispute. Aaron McKinney and another man pistol-whipped Shepard and left him for dead, tied to this fence post outside of town. But the jury did not believe the crime was premeditated and found McKinney not guilty of that one charge.
And I think it says, look, folks, we believe you when you say that your guy didn't mean to kill Matthew Shepard. And if you can further convince us of that, we're going to have the sympathy we need to give your guy life as opposed to a death sentence.
And in the penalty phase, the judge may allow McKinney's attorneys to argue Shepard's unwanted advances triggered memories of sexual abuse the defendant suffered as a child, causing him to lose control and become a killer. Shepard's parents aren't talking, but many people in Laramie say they are more than ready to be out of the spotlight.
I don't think you can blame the people in Wyoming for a couple of jerks that beat up somebody. That isn't Wyoming, you know.
You could also say executing people isn't Wyoming either. In fact, this state currently has only 2 men on death row. And the last time a Laramie jury sentenced someone to die was more than 100 years ago. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, Laramie, Wyoming.
Results of Election Day 1999 are in, and competing partisan bragging rights are all over the map. In the Philadelphia mayor's race, Democrat John Street defeated strong Republican challenger Sam Katz. Republicans took control of both houses of the Virginia legislature for the first time in 140 years since the Civil War. The Mississippi governor's race is so close the state legislature there may have to decide who won. On ballot issues, Maine voters rejected a ban on certain types of late-term abortions. San Francisco voters said yes to a cap on bank fees for using automated teller machines. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, we begin the CBS Health Watch tonight with new research on helping the hair impaired.
A David in a world of Goliaths. Chevy Malibu. With an awesome V6 standard, it has power you can depend on. Chevy Malibu will be there.
50 is beautiful, and to stay that way, Pro Vital Revitalizing Cleanser with gentle microbeads and Olay moisture. It leaves skin smooth and resilient. Pro Vital from Olay, proven to be why women over 50 look so wonderful.
No, this isn't a jeans commercial. It's about constipation. You're bloated, not yourself. Your size 10s feel like 2s.
FiberCon has natural fiber action to relieve bloating constipation.
I'm myself again.
FiberCon, be regular, be yourself.
Can you believe it? My husband, Nolan Ryan, has arthritis. So his doctor says stay active and take Advil to make it easier. I take it for my arthritis pain, so we can exercise together.
Advil, stronger than pain. Want to color your gray beard or mustache and look natural? Get Just for Men Gel.
You look so natural, no one can tell with Just for Men Gel.
Brush in and in 5 minutes, gray is gone.
No one can tell with Just for Men Gel. Nobody does it like you.
Introducing Freedom of Choice. Use your new Hoover Caddy Vac with all the tools right on board. See it? Or make, like, a totally different call and slide that caddy off. Then you're ready to hit the floor with a lightweight, nimble machine. And either way, your carpet gets deep down clean. The new Hoover Caddy Vac. Nice choice. Hoover. Deep down, you want Hoover.
A new survey out today by a health advocacy group finds prices for the top 50 prescription drugs used by older Americans rose by more than 6.5% last year. That is 4 times the overall inflation rate for last year. On the new CBS Health Watch tonight, cutting-edge news about growing new hair, published today in the journal Nature. CBS's Elizabeth Caledon has the bare facts about a new way to multiply what's left of your own or even get a hair transplant from a donor.
From this one small hair, a whole new approach to treating baldness may have sprouted. For the first time ever, British researchers have successfully transplanted cells taken from a male hair follicle into the arm of a woman to grow actual hair.
Essentially what these cells are doing is they're going into the recipient's skin and then telling the recipient's skin to organize a hair follicle.
Dermatologist Angela Cristiano, who does genetic research on balding in mice, is hailing it as a breakthrough.
This study shows for the first time that you can actually take hair follicle cells from one individual and transplant them into a second individual who is not immunologically compatible with the first.
Dr. Robert Bernstein performs thousands of hair transplants every year. In current procedures, the entire follicle is permanently removed from the back of the head and relocated in the front. Bernstein says today's discovery means people could one day manufacture their own hair cells for transplant, becoming their own donors.
Most individuals have a permanent donor supply. So if you could multiply that even a few fold, almost everybody could end up with a full head of hair.
Commercial applications for hair cell transplants are a long way off. But for the estimated 30 to 40 million Americans suffering from hair loss and spending billions of dollars to reverse it, it's one of the most promising advances to date. Elizabeth Caledon, CBS News, New York.
CBS News Today begins a new partnership with Medscape. For the latest news on medicine and health, 24 hours a day, you can log on to cbs.healthwatch.com. Up next here on CBS, The American Dream, a one-man flying aid operation making a difference in a disaster.
When you wake up, you will believe the following. I like football. I like watching football on television. I can't get enough football.
The comfortable Accord sedan from Honda. It's one powerful car.
If you wear dentures, imagine how nervous teaching teenagers could make you feel. What if your dentures slipped? But thanks to the all-day hold of Super Polygrip, those days are over. I think that says a lot about the power of Polygrip.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. It's the day the world stopped smoking.
Quitting is a little scary. That's why there's the Great American Smokeout. Because quitting for a day with millions of other people isn't so bad at all. Hey, you want a really scary thought? You might actually like it. The American Cancer Society's Great American Smokeout, November 18th. Commit to quit. Brought to you by the American Cancer Society, Nicorette Gum, and the Nicoderm CQ Patch. Partners in helping you quit.
While some folks couldn't sleep, you were peacefully sleeping thanks to new Simply Sleep from the makers of Tylenol PM. It's non-habit forming and eases you into a restful night's sleep. New Simply Sleep.
Quaker oatmeal is like a lifeguard. It's always there for you. And after we ate it for 30 days, it helped lower our cholesterol 23 points. So you could say it's a real lifesaver.
And it sure is yummy.
Quaker oatmeal warms your heart and soul.
Dr. Scholl's next stop, San Francisco.
Let's talk about feast. I do have corn.
I've tried Band-Aids.
They don't get rid of the corn.
This is Dr. Scholl's Cushion Gel Corn Removers. The Cushion Gel relieves the pain.
The medicated disc removes the corn.
It just feels so much better.
Well, my work here is done.
The American dream doesn't stop at the nation's borders. For some, it means going anywhere in the world to do what they dream of doing. That's what one American did a year ago when Hurricane Mitch turned the impoverished nation of Honduras into a disaster area. A man who had the dream and the means to fly to the rescue.
Steve Hines lives a comfortable life in Denver, Colorado, where he has made flying not only a hobby, but an obsession.
Flying in the clouds, flying above the clouds, to me was just fascinating.
But a year ago, he never imagined that his love for flying would take him on a course due south.
I saw the news coverage of Hurricane Mitch. I remember a story of a family of 5 that made it through an entire day on 3 eggs.
Hurricane Mitch, a storm that wiped out the entire infrastructure of Honduras.
169 bridges were out in the country, and you just couldn't get things from point A to point B.
A storm that killed thousands in its path. Steve Hines was so moved by the pictures he saw, he wanted to bring relief to Honduras residents.
To help people that were in dire need.
Steve was to become a one-man relief mission. It wasn't his first trip to the country. When he was a boy,
I was 16.
He was a member of a high school missionary group.
We were distributing the Sabin polio series, which was a 3-dose series. We had plenty of dose 1, we had plenty of dose 3, but we didn't have any dose 2. I thought to myself that if someone had their own Twin Beach, that it wouldn't have been a problem. We could have flown our own supplies in.
34 years later, that someone with his own Twin Beach aircraft was Steve Hines, flying back to a place he hardly recognized.
There were no trees, no blades of grass. It was like a moonscape.
This time, he was distributing desperately needed food and medical supplies.
I don't know if any lives were saved, but I know that there were some people that had something to eat that didn't the day before. One of the things you'd find in anyone you talked to down there was what I call the 1,000-yard stare. You'd start talking to them about the hurricane, and all of a sudden they'd just sort of look off into the distance.
In a 2-week period, he carried 1,700 pounds of donated aid to 9 cities.
I couldn't do much. I did as much as I could. I know that individuals can make a difference, and I've had that proved to me beyond any shadow of a doubt.